damage to your home, you can count on us to make
and actually, we're very happy to see that the sport of hockey is growing in South Africa, and we hope that it continues to grow.
Thank you so much, Bushe.
That brings us to the top of the hour of 8 o'clock, and it's time to go to Eyewitness News very, very shortly. It's a very good thing, though, this South African hockey, how it's developed over the last couple of years. And it's very good to hear that now we've got international scouts, American scouts in South Africa looking at getting the talented players that our country has. And if one thing South Africa has, amongst everything else that you might be complaining about, it is ultra talented sports stars. You can look at any arena and you will most certainly find them. It's 8 o'clock.
This is Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Mikey Molapo. As Gauteng remains in the lead with the highest number of infections, standing at 533, local government is scrambling to try accommodate thousands of homeless people during the 21-day lockdown. The Gauteng Provincial Government Command Council gave an update on the nationwide stay away in Midrand today, adding that new measures to try curb the spread of COVID-19. Acting MEC for Social Development, Banyaza Lesufi, says the council is dealing with an overwhelming number of homeless people who, with each passing day, remain at risk of contracting the virus. Lesufi says at least 50,000 homeless people have been accommodated at different facilities around the province, with 15,000 in Johannesburg alone.
And we are now opening the Tshwane Event Center. We are putting up tents there to move every person that is homeless around Tshwane to that particular area. And then when it's full, we've made available almost 122 unused schools in Gauteng to be a backup if the numbers increases.
The MEC says the Caledonian Stadium in Tshwane will be used as a screening center for the vulnerable community.
We've put up emergency tents and we've converted that area now to be the screening center for diseases, their needs, whether they've missed the medication that they need to take, so that we've got records that we can share with the Department of Health so that that medication can be given. Because if they lapse as well, we'll have a serious disaster.
There are currently 1,187 cases of COVID-19 in South Africa, and so far one person has died. Gauteng police in the same breath have arrested 148 people for contravening laws imposed as part of the country's 21-day lockdown. Provincial Commissioner Elias Mawela briefed media in Midrand alongside Premier David Makura and MECs Banyaza Lesufi, Bandile Masuku and Faith Mazibuko. Mawela has warned that they will continue enforcing regulations and that those who disregard the law will be dealt with.
To others, they may think that some of the measures which we are employing, we are too extreme. But to us, it's a matter of life and death. We can't take anything for chance. So we call upon our communities to can work with us and understand that one slight mistake, it may cause the life of many people in our province.
Meanwhile, Lusufi says they are working hard on systems that will ensure that social grant beneficiaries receive their monies. The MEC says a total of 768,000 recipients are disabled people and the elderly, and that 300 post offices outlets in Gauteng will be utilized to pay beneficiaries.
These are the beneficiaries that are going to receive social grants from tomorrow until Tuesday. That is the 30th and the 31st. So we are working very hard, therefore, to put systems to welcome, accommodate, ensure they receive the grants.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has challenged the 112 South Africans who were repatriated from Wuhan, China, to spread the word on the reality of COVID-19 and the importance of following preventative measures. Ramaphosa spoke at the Ranch Resort in Limpopo, where the group had been placed under quarantine and officially declared the ranch a green zone, meaning no one in the facility has the coronavirus. The group was flown out of Wuhan, the birthplace of the respiratory disease, earlier this month, with the country now on day 3 of its 21-day lockdown as a way to counter the spread of COVID-19. The president says the group serves as a testament to the effectiveness of a shutdown.
Because you, more than anyone else, has seen that a lockdown does work. A lockdown does work. And I'd like you to spread the message to South Africans. I am going to be talking about you tonight.
A look at COVID-19's impact on the world by the numbers. More than 707,000 people have tested positive for the coronavirus, with more than 33,500 fatalities and over 150,000 recoveries. And we look at the latest developments. A senior U.S. scientist has issued a cautious prediction today that the novel coronavirus could claim as many as 200,000 lives in the United States, as state and local officials described increasingly desperate shortages in hard-pressed hospitals. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who leads research into infectious diseases at the National Institutes of Health and a leading member of President Donald Trump's coronavirus task force, says models predicting 1 million or more U.S. deaths were not impossible, but very, very unlikely. COVID-19 has hit the U.S. with explosive force in recent days and weeks, following a path seen earlier in parts of Asia and Europe. The U.S. has more than 133,000 confirmed cases, over 2,300 deaths, and 4,300 recoveries. For more updates on the COVID-19 and the national shutdown, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. A look at tomorrow's weather. Gauteng will be cloudy 15 and 25. Pretoria and Vereeniging are both at 26. It's clear and sunny in Cape Town tomorrow, with a southwesterly forecast along with a high of 23 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. As Gauteng remains in the lead with the highest number of infections, standing at 533, local government is scrambling to try accommodate thousands of homeless people during the 21-day lockdown.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.
Dedicate yourself to making a difference.
Program. Today I am going to...
Thanks very much. You're listening to the newsroom from the BBC World Service with Oliver Conley. The United States has the most confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the world. It has a much lower death rate than some of the other nations. 2,300 died of the virus in America so far. The nation's top infectious disease expert could eventually kill 100,000 or even 200,000 in the US. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the White House task force, made the prediction in an interview on CNN. He did add the figure was hard to predict.
Malapo with the BBC News. The US government's leading infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says at least 100,000 Americans will be killed by the coronavirus and possibly up to twice that number. Some cities, including New York, have warned that they may soon run out of medical supplies. Steve Jackson reports.
The United States has recorded more cases of Covid-19 than any other country, 120,000. But so far there have been fewer deaths than some other nations, just over 2,000. Dr. Anthony Fauci is one of the world's most respected voices on disease outbreaks, and his warning in a CNN TV interview was stark. The numbers are going to go up a lot, and millions of Americans are expected to catch the virus. His comments come as some cities, including New York, have warned that they may run out of key medical equipment such as ventilators and surgical masks. America, like many other countries, is facing daunting challenges ahead.
Officials in the two European countries hardest hit by the coronavirus pandemic, Italy and Spain, say they believe their countries are near the peak of the outbreak. Italy's Deputy Health Minister said he expected to see a significant drop in cases within 10 days. There have been more than 10,000 virus-related deaths in Italy. A member of Parliament, Lia Quartapelle, said it was vital not to lift restrictions on movement too quickly.
If we don't fight the virus, we cannot restart normal economic activity. So we need to be really careful with reopening. I think it's right to start thinking about reopening, but after Easter. And then we will see how to reopen, whether to do selective reopening or regionally or economically. We start thinking about this.
Spain has recorded 838 deaths, but new infections are increasing at a slower rate. Saudi Arabian state media says the authorities have seized more than 5 million medical masks that had been illegally stockpiled during the coronavirus outbreak. Sebastian Usher reports.
Arab countries across the Gulf have taken extremely stringent action to try to prevent coronavirus, with several going into lockdown before much of the rest of the world. Penalties for breaching restrictions have been severe too. Now, two apparent attempts to stockpile masks have been broken up in Saudi Arabia, with 4 million confiscated from a facility in Jeddah and more than 1 million others from a private store in Hale, north of Riyadh.
India has told its state governments to seal their borders and quarantine hundreds of thousands of migrants from other parts of the country in an attempt to contain the spread of the coronavirus. The country is in the midst of a 3-week nationwide lockdown, but the measure has resulted in a mass exodus of migrant labourers from cities. World News from the BBC. The impact of COVID-19 is continuing to be felt across sub-Saharan Africa. In Benin, President Patrice Talon said it would be difficult to enforce prevention measures because people were too poor to cope with them. In Nigeria, the petroleum regulator has ordered oil and gas companies to reduce their offshore workforce to try to stop the spread of the disease on rigs. Gun campaigners in the US have welcomed moves by the Trump administration to classify firearms as essential after many stores were shut because of coronavirus restrictions. A gun industry association said people needed to be able to protect themselves during the pandemic, which has led to the closure of non-essential businesses in several states. Pope Francis has joined the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres in calling for an immediate global ceasefire so that the world can focus on tackling the coronavirus pandemic. The Pope made his appeal at his weekly blessing in the Vatican.
Mi associo a quanti hanno accolto questo appello.
I join all those who have accepted this appeal and invite everyone to follow it up by seizing all forms of hostilities, encouraging the creation of corridors for humanitarian aid, openness to diplomacy, paying attention to those who find themselves in situations of great vulnerability.
Voting is taking place in Mali in a long-delayed parliamentary election, hours after the country reported its first death from coronavirus. So far, few people in the capital, Bamako, have turned out, saying they're afraid of catching COVID-19. A plane carrying medical personnel has burst into flames during takeoff in the capital of the Philippines. The authorities at Manila International Airport said none of the 8 people on board survived. The flight was on a medical mission to Japan. BBC News. Hello, I'm Aaron Safir with the BBC News. The US government's leading infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says at least 100,000
visions.
protect you!
Prodigy XB. Prodigy XB. Prodigy XB. Prodigy XB.
Jiraiya the Gallant.